Hello, sweet one, and welcome to the Survivor Sessions, brought to you by Star. Due to mature content, please do not play this around children. The trauma of being sexually assaulted rewired my brain, it shattered my beliefs, and it led to years of self-destruction. I deeply understand the haunting effects of being raped. I've done a tremendous amount of beautiful healing work over the years, and it's time for me to gather my courage and my vulnerability so that I can share this healing with you. You can heal, and these survivor sessions were created to not only show you that you are not alone, but to also show you the ways that we can heal, release our shame, and reclaim our power. Today's episode features author, Mindbody practitioner, and holistic healer, Krista Fee. Krista bravely shares parts of her personal journey of recovering from trauma. She also shares many insights on somatic healing and the importance of reconnecting to our bodies. She ends with a demonstration of a somatic healing sequence. Learn more about Krista at sahararising.org. Now let's dive into today's episode. Welcome everyone. Today I am here with Krista, and I am so excited about this talk today. And if you don't mind telling us a little bit about the work that you do, kind of an overview, because you do so many amazing healing things. So just a brief overview, and then we'll kind of dive into today's topic.
Well, out of simplicity, I am calling myself right now a total transformation coach because I do so many things. I am currently finishing up my master's degree in psychology, focusing on trauma therapy specifically. And I'm also in Mindbody therapy, which is the Eastern approach to trauma healing and therapy. And I have 46 different certifications in movement and healing therapies. So I like to dabble in a little bit of everything.
Oh my gosh, that is amazing. Well, I love that. And I think there's so many people I've been talking to lately, and even with myself, it's like you start going down this path of healing and spirituality and different things, and there's just so many great juicy things to dive into. So yeah, hopefully one day I'll be saying the same thing, because I think that it sounds so exciting and the world needs so much more of that. So thank you. Thank you for diving into all this work and sharing it and, helping so many people. So today I would really love us to focus on trauma, healing trauma. And this is part of a series I'm doing for sexual assault survivors specifically. And this is something really important to me. And I feel like the type of trauma and recovery needed from such a violating experience, it's different than some other types of healing. And in my personal experience, I really disconnected from my body the day that I was assaulted. And I saw myself. I saw a part of me go out of my body and just watch. And it's taken years, like many years, to come back to myself and to love my body again and feel like safe in it. And so I've taken a belly dance class with you. I know that you're very connected to your body and that a lot of your work is around this. So if you don't mind, I would just love to hear, what's your take on that, and what kind of ideas do you have around releasing trauma through your body and kind of reconnecting to yourself?
Well, I have a really similar experience to you. I was sexually assaulted, and I was a child victim also. And it wasn't until I was sexually assaulted as a young adult that all the childhood trauma came back. So that was where all of the beginning of my studies started. And I started with general clinical psychology and realized that no matter how many people I went to, no matter how many therapists I saw, they didn't understand. Like, they justified my anger. They made me feel like it was okay to feel the way that I felt, but they didn't have the tools to help me get over it, or what I now understand to be, to integrate it into the rest of my life experience. like what you described when you are basically looking at your body from the outside in, that disassociation is really, really common, and it's nervous system related. So they were trying to heal my mind, but what was missing was they weren't addressing the healing of my body. So the mind body spirit connection, especially for trauma survivors, is immeasurable. You cannot separate them. And for most people, it's too re-traumatizing to go into talk therapy first. You have to be comfortable in yourself and in your space and in your body before you can look at the trauma to even start to pull it apart from a cognitive level. So my process, going to the Eastern side of things, realizing that they have a really strong understanding of feeling instead of analyzing, and putting the experience into how does my body feel right now about this, not what happened, not details, not re-experiencing, but what am I feeling right now in this moment that we can address. And the somatic means basically soma, which is of the body. And it's been westernized by Peter Levine, but there's a big discussion currently about cultural appropriation, and how the Asian culture would like us to remember that it really is an ancestral wisdom coming to us from old, many old sources. It didn't start here, and it's not a Peter Levine thing, but the terminology now does kind of sound like that. So talking about looking at the felt sense, which is our interpretation of what we feel, and learning how to release those blockages that we feel. That's really the core of what I focus on.
Wow. Well, thank you. First of all, just thank you for sharing some of your personal story. And I'm so sorry. And I mean, it's just never okay to hear, especially about a child being hurt. So I trust that you have so many tools that you're able to work through that. And so that's beautiful that you're here today doing what you do. Um, and so with the talk therapy, that's really interesting. And I feel like I don't want to totally bash talk therapy, because I do know some psychologists who are great people that are really trying to help. Um, in my experience, especially early on, so after my assault, I was basically given like just a pile of prescription drugs and sent to therapy. And and I didn't know any better. I didn't know there was another way. I didn't know there's natural ways to heal. I just kind of was one of those people doing whatever your doctor said, which I'm I'm far away from that mindset today. Um, but when I went to therapy, I told the woman all the things that had just gone on in my life and what got me here today. And she said, "Oh my God, I can't believe you're not suicidal." And I was like, it was one of those moments where I thought, did she mean to say that out loud? Like, who says that? And I sat there and I thought, no, I'm definitely not suicidal. I mean, I want a break from reality, because my reality is really, really painful right now. But since I don't want to hurt myself, I guess I'm okay to like do drugs or whatever for these brief escapes. And so I took what she said and just turned it into an excuse to kind of do whatever I wanted, because I wasn't as bad as the therapist thought I should be. And it was the weirdest experience, and it totally stuck with me. And I, of course, didn't continue on with that, modality, because I just thought this is bizarre. So, I'm hopefully that's a rare story. But anyway, so that just you bringing up talk therapy, I think it can be a part of a really beautiful holistic type of healing, where that's one of like 4 or 5 components of what you're doing for your mind, body, and soul. Um, so something I've learned more about in recent years is cell memory, and this idea that really that big events, whether they're really, really amazing or really, really awful, get trapped in ourselves. And I don't know if that's the same thing of why we like can feel when there's an anniversary of something good or bad coming. I don't know what that is. Maybe it's connected, but I truly believe about the like trauma trapped in our body. And so could you, I mean, we haven't talked about this, but is this something that you know more about or can speak to?
Um, well, I come at it from a nervous system approach. So for what you're talking about, our nervous system is our fight flight system basically. And when a traumatic event happens, it implants a memory. And our nervous system is processing like a brain processes, but it's not intelligent enough to understand small details. So it hugely overcompensates to keep us safe. So in modern times right now, we are almost, even people who've never experienced major trauma, we're almost always keyed up into anxious, like ready, like on a lower level of the fight flight, which is you're hyperactive. And then if a major trauma occurs, you can be jacked up, but you can also be stuck in an off position. So you have a window of tolerance that is like right here, and normal daily activity, you're functioning up and down. Your nervous system is active or it's inactive, and it just fluctuates slightly. But when a major trauma occurs, it leaves an imprint that puts you either above that or below that, or both at the same time, which is kind of what it sounds like you're describing, is that you were stuck both on and off at the same time. So when that happens, you experience things like fear and anxiety, and addiction is really common in that zone. You want to escape that feeling, that constant tension, but you're also dissociated, so your emotions are shut off and you're not processing the things around you as being affecting you. You're literally like watching life go by as an observer, and those two things happening at the same time is it's just permanent until you learn how to calm that nervous system. The cellular memory, like you're talking, generational trauma and that kind of situation, it's a very similar concept, that it's just stored in all of our cells. Some of the recent scientific research is suggesting that it's in the neurons, that actually get stuck in the neurons of the brain. So I'm very curious to see what comes as they research that more, because it's just kind of starting to become talked about a lot in the scientific community.
Yeah. Oh, well, thank you for shedding more light on that. Yeah, I think it's really exciting to me that a lot of new healing modalities are becoming more and more, I don't know, popular. It's like hearing more about tapping, like emotional freedom technique. That's one of the things I found immensely powerful. And so that's becoming a bit more, I don't know if it's mainstream yet, but there's definitely, it's easy to find now. So I think a lot of different things like that. And yeah, and as far as the cell memory, oh, also there's a lot of science coming out about the gut brain connection. And I think that's going to be very important for people to understand. So yeah, I mean, a lot of new things are coming to light that again, I think can help us all on our healing journey a lot more. So do you mind sharing, like on a personal level, what kind of work helped you heal through some of these things? You know, you talked about childhood things being brought up. How did you move through that?
I think the thing that broke through for me was an accidental combination of dance. I was very, very active in the dance community, and hypnotherapy. The hypnotherapy actually was the first thing that could get into my body, because I was very dissociated. I did not connect well with my body. If someone asked me, like even to the point that I didn't feel pain very much. So I would actually try to hurt myself just to feel something. So I went through that like really extreme layers of like, I just couldn't feel anything. So to feel something was an improvement. So just about the same time, within about a 4-week period, I had a major dance competition that I was just rehearsing 4 to 6 hours a day. So I was pushing my body to the brink. And then I had that was a anxiety release, trauma release session. And it literally took 2 about an hour sessions before I was just like, release, release, release. It, like constantly, every couple of days, I would just be crying and screaming and throwing things. And like, it just all washed over me really quickly, which is not necessarily something I would recommend. It's very similar to like cathartic healing, which has kind of gone to the wayside in the psychological community because it is so overwhelming. And I've never been a person who went to substances, but I definitely think that that would have been the time. Like there was one thing that could have happened or the other thing that could have happened. And it was either going to be complete and utter self-destruction or it was going to be healing. And luckily I went this direction, but there was nothing to push me either way. During that time, I was kind of given the dam break and then set off on my way. And it was a good month of absolute overwhelm. But looking back, I see the tremendous potential of that work. And now I'm certified in hypnotherapy, but I would never, ever, ever hypnotize someone that I hadn't been treating for a long time and know exactly what we're up against. You have to know what's going to come out when the dam breaks before you do a thing like that.
Okay. And so I missed a couple words you cut out for a second at the beginning where you said that you, right before your dance competition, kind of had this breakdown. And so were you saying that you did a hypnosis session and that's what caused all of this?
Yeah,
Okay.
hypnotherapy. It was
Yeah.
fantastic and horrible at the same time.
Wow. Okay. So it like shot you into all of this.
I
But
would definitely liken it to a dam breaking. Like
okay.
literally, the wall came down and it all came out.
Wow. Very cool. Yeah. When I was a kid, my mom took me to a hypnotherapist and it was a negative experience for me. I did not like it. I said some things that I didn't know what I was talking about. I didn't want to talk about, it just like some weird things came up and I wasn't there. Like I didn't choose to be there. So I was not interested in it. You know what I mean? It's like now my mom has even more things to bug me about. I just want to be left alone. And now I'm working with a coach who does hypnotherapy, and it's incredible. It's some of the most transformational work I've ever experienced in my life. And I'm sure that's because I'm where I am today. And I sought her out and I said, let's do this, whatever comes up. I think my dam has already broken little by little over the past
Right.
decade or whatever. So, but yeah, I mean, I echo that thought of how powerful it is. It's so amazing to just go straight to the subconscious and find the root of so many things. It's really incredible work. Wow. All right. So let's go back into somatic and can you, I guess demonstrate or move through some of this work for the people watching? I really want anyone who's out there struggling, feeling alone, feeling like, I know for assault survivors, a lot of times we feel like we don't want to tell anyone. Depending on the circumstance, maybe we feel ashamed or guilt or, of course, confusion, dirty, all of these things. And I think a lot of people don't talk to anyone. And so I'm, picturing that girl right now and like, what would you show her if you had the chance to say, here's a practice you can start doing to start moving back into your body or your life?
I can, yes. I'm going to take you into the other room in just a second.
Perfect.
I will note that the series that we're going to do today, you've probably seen some of these movements before. They are drawn from both belly dance and yoga.
Hmm.
And it's not something that I generally do as a therapy in and of itself without having worked with someone for a little while to begin with, because it can, in the atmosphere of therapy, when they're anticipating that we are working on something, it can be very traumatic release. Like, it's not uncommon for people in general fitness classes to not even know why, but to break out just bawling. Like, when you work with the root chakra and the sacral chakra in any way, in a yogic manner, it tends to release some emotions. So when you already know that there's really big emotions that need to come out, sometimes it can be really shocking. So this is, again, what I'm going to show you today is something that I would usually do on like a third or a fourth session with someone that I know is really, really struggling. But we'll go through just a basic spiral and then a little hip work, and that would be it. Reaching up to the ceiling, grounding through the feet, allowing energy to flow all the way through from the front to the back of the foot, growing roots planting into the earth beneath you, sinking deeper, deeper into the core of the earth, looking up above you, healing, spiraling down through the body, working the throat chakra, opening your truth. No one can hear but yourself. Open through the heart chakra, full rotation. Reversing, freeing up the energy in the spine, allowing anything that is blocked to release and flow smoothly. Bending into the knees, drawing energy up from the earth, rotating through the hip, releasing anything in the lower back that's feeling tight or stuck. Big movements, other direction. Allow the light that's entered through the top of your head to sink down into your hips, filling every cell in your body. Now we're going to take that rotation bigger, so leaning all the way to the side. Capacity for that energy. Pushing forward, left, and back. Big circles. And the other way. And we will come to the floor. Leg flat on the back, lower back pushing deep into the floor, again rooting into the floor. Visualize tendrils creeping all the way down into the center of the earth, where nourishment can come up and fill you. Legs going straight up into the air towards the ceiling. We're going to release the legs down slowly, awaken an awareness for the hips. Bring it back up. Always stopping when the lower back starts to sneak up off the floor. Pushing that lower back down tight. You're one with the earth. Awaken and energize. One more time. Feel the lower abdominals engage to protect you. You're safe and secure. Bring your knees into your chest. Opening left and right. Let your knees drop to the side. Still holding them. Allow your abdominals to do this work for you. Never quite touching the floor with those knees. Up to the other side. Shoulders stay flat to the floor. Drawing energy from the earth. Never quite letting those knees touch the ground. Awake and alive in the abdominals and the hips and the pelvis. Bring those knees in. And hold yourself in your safe position. Feel anything you feel. Notice anything you notice. No judgment. No analysis. Just feel. Just notice. And release. And longer and go much slower in our actual scenario. But that gives you an idea of what that looks like.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for demonstrating that. And that's something that we can all return to again and again. And like you said, then expand and, maybe do it twice in a row or something when we have time. But I think it's important too that people can have something that they can do that only takes a few minutes. Sometimes that's all we have. And I know as a mom of two, it's like, there seems like there's always so much going on. So I've really worked hard to understand that healing practices can happen in like these little micro moments throughout the day instead of
Right.
trying to be like, I need an hour every morning. Like that's not going to happen in my life right now, So I really appreciate that. Well, thank you so much, Krista. And before you go, so currently, are you taking like one-on-one clients or do you do group coaching? I mean, I think that working with you is would be just so amazing and important because of all the different things you're bringing. I think having a coach that has multiple tools to bring in for your healing is really, really magical and makes that transformation faster. So I'll also add links to all of your information and your website and all the things, but what are you offering right now?
I have a total transformation program, which is all inclusive, wherein we do fitness and nutrition and whatever healing a person needs. It's literally custom one-on-one. And then there's group coaching in there as well. Like once a week, we have a group meeting also. I do take one-on-one clients as well, but they do only have 2 slots available for that. I'm almost full on that. And then I also have, if you're independent and you just want classes, I have an unlimited class pass and you can have access to any of the Zoom or recorded classes that I do. And I have like 6 different types of classes that we do weekly.
Wow. Okay, awesome. Yeah, I looked at your website recently and I was really blown away by all the different things you're doing, and they all sound really, really amazing. So thank you. Thank you so much for talking to me today. And thank you for the work you're doing in the world. We need more people like you. And I'm just really grateful that you've chosen to have the courage and vulnerability to do this work. So thank you so much, Krista.
Thank you.
This is my battle cry. Oh, it's do or die. Oh, you don't own me.
If you are a survivor or a loved one of a survivor and you are struggling, please call STAR's free 24-hour hotline at 800-478-8999. You are worthy of healing.